is, will they meet that expectation?
Yep, and certainly expectations on your shoulders can be quite heavy, can add a lot of extra pressure for your team as well. So Talon Esports coming through a week and a kilo to start things out with TYG on the bench for now. And for LYNX TH, it's the Bellow squad, and if you remember this guy from Season 1, he's got a mean Doomfist, but right now, it's all about Super McCree versus Bastion.
Yeah, Super McCree versus Super Bastion, I guess. This is something spicy, and it should actually go quite well against the Super McCree. They're able to take possession of the point. LYNX can wrap around the side, but Talon being on the point can just kind of keep playing ring around the rosy here. Rod Tongue, a little bit too exposed for a little bit too long, goes down to the Bastion, and now good stuff for Talon. LYNX have to try and back up.
And if you saw last series, you'd notice that there was a Hanzo adaptation from teams in this exact matchup. This time with the Bastion, you can cut through the Orisa shield so much more effectively. LYNX TH here should just dive directly onto Talon Esports, get a flank around the side, and just go right for that Bastion. They're actually going to get themselves now a Hanzo, which lets them challenge for the shield a bit more. But I honestly don't think that LYNX should be trying to go for poke here, because Bastion's so low damage, it's going to out-damage both the Hanzo and a McCree.
It's going to be a little bit tough. That being said, the Bastion is a harder time moving away from the Dragon Strike once that's a factor, but
it's going to be a while though.
Exactly, it's going to be a fair time to charge that one up. They do break the shield, so a weak does have to reposition, and they've lost a bit of hold on the point.
Right now, just waiting for the shields to come back up because you are taking a decent amount of damage, and Talon Esports are losing a decent amount of space.
Yeah, they've actually been forced off the point at least long enough to set up, but again, Rod Tongue just a bit too exposed for a bit too long, drops down, and LYNX have to retreat.
I'm somewhat surprised LYNX are not playing something like, you know, a Doomfist or a Sombra and just putting people into Winston and trying to get their dive on, because they can do that. They can get into the face of Talon Esports.
So they're going for it now.
Yeah, here comes that Genji now, and it's still going to be a Brigadier. This is still decent. You want to have the Brigadier for that eventual stun. A weak is about to come up on top of this this tank form, which is going to be slightly better against LYNX's current composition. It's slightly worse against the pure Rhine Goats, but against this composition on LYNX, it's going to be a bit better.
Quick rotation, Talon reacts, move backwards. Here's the dive forward for Rod Tongue. The thing is, the dive has to really connect quickly, otherwise eventually a weak just starts to out-damage them, and actually Haru gets an environmental. Might not have even been an environmental, might have actually just been the damage from the sound wave, the right click there to get the kill. At any rate, they do finally finish off a weak. It's taken them a fair while, and Panic just go down.
That one's in a
it's only the Lucio's. Only the supports are getting kills. It's still only the supports getting kills. Finally, Volker is going to change that one around. Actually, no, it's not even a kill. It's this is unbelievable.
And this is at the sort of point where we're actually almost finished this map now. I can't believe how quickly it's gone. 98%. Someone's got a touch from LYNX, and they still have to shut down a weak who's now changed onto McCree.
Hey, time flies when you're playing Bastion. Rod Tongue again goes down. Bit of a sacrificial lamb with the dive as Bombarapa gets halted off the edge. A weak gets a headshot on Panties, and he has actually made the adaptation off the Bastion at this point. Honestly, the Super McCree is looking like it's so the more environmental kills. I love this, man. It never gets old. Good. Gora finds two. So he's found another one. It is going to be Talon getting well.
And as entertaining as it is to see Zobi get multiple Soundwave group kills into the well.
Just the fight where over
it's still, those are kind of the only kills, though. It's still 100-0 here. And the thing you have to remember is once the change from LYNX TH went on to a bit of more of a dive composition happened, they started to push Talon backwards. You saw how much space Talon were losing. In fact, that was even with the McCree and the Hanzo. They're just taking space away from Talon. They're just flanking around, making sure the Bastion doesn't have good angles and POVs. And that's exactly how you want to beat that bash, but it just came a little bit too late. Once the Genji was into the mix, tank form was ready to go, Talon Esports were heading overtime pretty soon, and LYNX TH were just out of options. This reset's going to be quite important now. This time around, you're going to see Winston Goats versus Ryan Goats, and for LYNX TH, a chance for redemption.
Yeah, both opting into a 3-3, but a bit of an asymmetric one. So LYNX have a little bit more forward pressure, but once that shadow becomes a factor, Talon have a bit of an advantage.
Right now, LYNX have the advantage of actually diving in, taking space again, just choking Talon out.
Oh, but Bellow goes down, first casualty of the fight, and LYNX, they don't actually manage to capitalize on that fight one advantage that they ought to have there. Nice shield bash onto Bombarapa, secures that kill. Talon are going to be able to take possession of this point as it unlocks.
And the timing on the fight win is so important here as well. They use the fact that there's just this opening space where they can get this fight win as soon as the cap opens, immediately cap it. It's just high efficiency, collecting those percentage points. And LYNX TH now have to consider maybe Rod Tongue has to go into the Rhine because Villeneuve is going to get that shatter soon.
And it's an unfortunate reality. They do actually choose to make the adaptation. I think very astute decision there from LYNX.
Let's see now where LYNX are going to be able to posture. First ultimate should be coming online for Talon soon. Aquila looking like it's going to be the rally first, which is going to be very useful against LYNX TH because they just don't have anything to really use right now.
Gagora's taking a bit of pain on the side though, has to retreat to the point, so now LYNX have an opportunity to move forward. Villeneuve, there's the Earth Shatter, nicely blocked out, but doesn't quite save Bello Tsurusama as well. Nice charging from Aquila to help secure that with the bash and the damage, and even able to get the late whip shot onto Zobi. That's a nice fight win from Talon.
There's actually good targeting from LYNX TH as well. They've really pressured Villeneuve out, so he felt like he needed to land the Earth Shatter before he goes down just to utilize that advantage. Otherwise, there's basically no good reason, you know, for the Ryan versus Winston matchup, or the Ryan versus Ryan with Rodtang freshly on his own Reinhardt, who is now on 77%, which is not bad at all, but there's still no grab, and a weak does have one.
And that's the thing, they've got to contend with a weak's grab combo up with Gagora's self-destruct, but they do need to pay respects to Bumbarah for being able to eat that one out. There we go, there's a nice connect on the back line. They even caught Bumbarah, self-destruct is there. It's going to be a transcendence though to keep everyone safe and sound as they start to pile on. Talon find a few kills to boot. Zobi, again, I mean, look at this guy go. We know who the real carry is here. Gagora, unfortunately, in the pilot form, has to take a dive, and LYNX have finally got themselves possession of the point.
You could quite easily see what went wrong there. Weak decided to commit the Graviton Surge while Villeneuve was being pressured upon, so they actually sacrificed Villeneuve. What you want to have is Graviton Surge placed down, all 6 members of your team wailing on those Grav members, especially your Ryan. Your Ryan adds most of the damage in there. A Weak couldn't do the damage by himself. Villeneuve goes down. Suddenly, the Grav doesn't do anything at all.
Now it's not Tsurusama's turn to land. One throws against the wall to make sure that it connects. They look to throw the self-destruct forward. They're able to block that one out. Nice charge in from Rodtang, but he's a little bit deep. Sound barrier has to come to the rescue for that one. Now it's a Weak's turn to maybe get a grab, but not if he's on his back like that.
There he is.
Nice save from Haru though. Not enough to save Aquila. And Villeneuve, whoa, they swing one back and suddenly Talon rally despite a decent connection from LYNX and an okay follow-up. Talon able to come back.
And it was a big commit as well. You can see how many ultimates were used by Talon and basically everything except the self-destruct, but they want to get the point back because now they're into 90% plus. Talon, rather, LYNX only have 5 seconds remaining to really contest.
They should be able to touch this point at least. Going to be able to send Zobi in, but Rodtang dies on the rotation, so does Bello, and that removes the bulk of their damage in this fight. It's already looking sour for LYNX, and Talon just waiting to square this one up. Pandy's Transcendence will run out. He's the last man standing on the point. Gong rings out. The point is at 99%, and Talon going to take out Ilios.
And honestly, across 2 different rounds there on Ilios, it was very clean for Talon Esports, except for one misplay, just a little bit of miscommunication, miscoordination on the Grav play coming up from a Weak and the rest of the team. That's the only real criticism I have against Talon Esports. Everything else looked pretty good. As soon as they came back, they won the fights. They dropped 38% on Lighthouse, and aside from that, everything else was good.
And that's the thing, you've got to consider the shutout on the well as well with that Bastion composition, and then even adapting as LYNX were adapting to the Bastion themselves. On the whole, it's just good play from Talon. This is what we kind of expect out of them as the returning champions.
And mostly, you know, we said this last broadcast yesterday on day 3, but very unceremoniously won that. It was just, that's what clean gameplay looks like.
That was cashing a check. That's what that looked
nothing
like.
to really celebrate. There was just, you know, expected victories, expected fight wins, cash in your check, you know, going in week after week, collecting
on
that,
the 9 to 5.
collecting your wages, your salary, whatever, and just nothing, you know, a little bit of interest, a little bit of spice there with the lost team fight. It's just like, okay, no coffee today, but doesn't matter. The week's gone by and you still take your win.
It's a Friday anyway. I can deal. It's okay. I'll probably just leave at 3 p.m. Boss won't notice. It's all good. But in all seriousness, it did just feel pretty methodical, I suppose. It felt like just going through the paces of a one game and assuming they can maintain that. What this really means is the pressure is on LYNX to step it up. And when they were in this position last time against Grandeur, where they were even a little bit closer in these maps, they did step it up a bit, got the one map win back, but they still didn't do so enough to take up the series. Against Talon, it's going to be even harder for LYNX to do that.
I mean, LYNX got 2 maps even, but...
Oh, you're quite right, you're quite right.
So, but right now, like we've said, it's a lot more difficult against a team like Talon. Map 2, by the way, coming up is going to be Hollywood, so the second Hollywood of the evening as well. And I guess the good news for LYNX is what we did see on the well stage of Ilios is that there were opportunities there. You could see some adaptation that was nearly working for LYNX. So the pieces of the puzzle do exist for LYNX. It's about whether they can put them together in time before Talon Esports kind of run them over.
That's really the interesting thing that's at play here. I think one thing that could be a bit of a boon for LYNX is now that we go off control, and we have talked about this a bit, the way that especially these Goats v Goats mirrors works is a bit more asymmetrical on the non-control maps, purely because they are not symmetrical maps, but also you've got those other compositional options for you. And we talked about things like Bellows, Doomfist, Nutsuru-sama as well is a very proficient Genji player. I feel like they're just less limited in terms of what they ought to be running on those maps as we move away from control, and that does mean this is still very much winnable for LYNX on these maps.
And now I've got to talk about substitutions again, because likely you might see TYG come in here for the side of Talon Esports, and who they sub out could be anyone. It could be a Week or a Keeler. I mean, it's any combination of those three members could come out for any given map. And on the side of LYNX TH, they actually have 8 members, Sadistic and a member called Pikachu, which we haven't seen yet, real name by the way. That seems more like a traditional substitute and starting roster kind of deal happening there. So I'm not too sure if that's really going to be utilized by LYNX TH, but they need to start considering some options. They need to start considering what else can they do to try and take the series.
There's a story. It's not a true story, but it is a story that apparently went around Hollywood where they were filming an episode of Star Trek. Like, because of how the pay scheme works, there's like a zone within the studios that they try and do as many shoots as possible in. And there's like, oh, here's the generic sci-fi desert. And they were shooting this episode, and just around the corner, they bumped into another film crew filming a movie. This is kind of a thing of the past. I like Hollywood for that reason, but Goats is the thing of the present.
Yep, the men who stare at Goats is the movement we're talking about here. Bozo's actually in. I don't think we've seen this player before. Nutsuru-sama got kind of traded out here or substituted out, so Bozo's not a player that we really talked about at all. I wonder how he's going to play.
And very aggressive moves here from LYNX. I like them just meeting Talon head on here, paying off for them. Rod Tongue does get a little low, but he's going to be just fine. The only casualty so far from LYNX is Bombarappa's mech, and I don't really mind that one so much. Just trying to keep pressure on this point. Now moving forward, trying to isolate Villeneuve. Both teams just jostling for a little while.
And LYNX need to really take advantage of this right now. They're trading members instead of getting those player advantages. 100 energy on Bozo as well. They need some more kills.
And look, Bozo was solo tanking, but Bombarappa's back in the mech now, and Villeneuve going forward, going down now. Suddenly Talon are very much on the back foot. Both Zaya's coming up on a grab. A Week gonna commit his first. Catches some members, but they can't really follow up in that angle. Sound barrier is there. Bello able to pull back and stay alive. Rod Tongue rejoins the team thanks to that closer respawn. And again, it's LYNX in control, willing to hold on to these ultimates, kind of goading Talon.
And by the way, LYNX didn't even have support ultimates. You should see the grab now.
There it is. Nicely layered. And Gagora, he will get back in the mech, but immediately the charge down, loses it straight back afterwards. And LYNX, they're just keeping the pressure on. Now they're going to split Talon back up once again. It has lost a lot of time here just attacking this point, but LYNX have been very much in control for quite a while now.
And the goal here is a Week should look to get another grab. He shouldn't look to use it, but charge it up for the defense of B, because this one is going to be won by LYNX TH off the back of Graviton Surge by Bozo, a double support commit by Zobi and Panties. Maybe that one's a little bit more questionable. They're actually already pushing on through while the card is being contested by their one member. Just trying to find some early space. Not going to get any kills here. And for LYNX TH, though, just going to get ready for that next offense. A Week now with the grab.
There it is. Good move by Talon, at least on the retreat there after the respawn, to make sure that LYNX didn't get any further kills out while they were moving the payload forward. Now here's the aggressive grab to come out of a Week, the tool that they've banked up, and they immediately catch some kills off of it as well. And it's pretty happy days for Talon.
And this is where LYNX TH would have liked to have kept one of their two, preferably even both of their support ultimates, because they had to use them early to get A, which still to me seems a little bit unnecessary. They could have just won with Grav and won perhaps. They can't defend against a Week's Graviton Surge. LYNX have to get reset here. Maybe try again with the Earth Shadow from Rod Tongue.
They're just moving back onto the cart, want to push the members of Talon back, find some space. Rod Tongue waiting for a nice time to commit Earth Shatter. They maybe want to stun out Villeneuve, but doing so, moving the Brigida forward, telegraphs things, but there's the connection. They still find it on these other members, and Villeneuve got picked off as he was a little bit separated off to the side, but that's the only pick they've found so far, is the rest of Talon are going to be able to safely retreat.
And there's a time limit here. Oh, nice pick on the Haru. I was going to say, there is a sound barrier coming up, so if Bozo drops a grab, sound barrier counters it. Now you're going to wait for a week. He's got a counter grab ready to go. Talon's going to back out here. They don't want to lose any more members. LYNX still waiting on this grab. They're going to have double support ultimates again.
They're in a pretty comfy spot here, all things considered. Very nice use of the ultimates they've had available so far, and I'm kind of expecting that trend to continue. Now, there's the grab to come out from a week.
Zobi.
Oh, very quick follow-up, and yeah, Zobi dying so fast was the real cost there. Bozo was not able to get a counter grab off either, and LYNX just going to have to cop that one.
You can see the effectiveness there, just a grab. This is exactly how you want to be winning. LYNX, though, because, again, I just go back to the fact, because they overcommitted, things go so poorly for them. Talon Esports just one grab, and they managed to win that one out. Zobi, probably at that stage, I mean, he did go down pretty fast. You might even value the sound barrier first and use the Transcendent second, but I don't know.
Ooh, Gagora gets Zobi with the self-destruct. Villeneuve, because of a bit of a displacement.
Oh, nice stun.
Oh, beautiful response. I was going to say, didn't connect the Earth Shatter. It still felt that LYNX were on the back foot, but suddenly that self-destruct changed everything. Talon are having to pull back mighty fast as LYNX trying to pile one forward onto the cart, try and run down some members of Talon. Persia forced to use a Transcendence. They are at least stalling a payload, but eventually LYNX are going to take this ground.
And this is great because Rodtung's about to get another Earth Shatter, and now there's only Haru, the sound barrier, to maybe counter that one out, assuming he doesn't get caught.
He's committed it very early, and there it was on top of that Earth Shatter, but the kills can still come through for LYNX. They've managed to find the follow-up, and again, really good use of that ultimate by Rodtung, always finding great angles and always quickly dealing with Villeneuve.
And this is all off the back of a great shield bash from Bello, because he caught Villeneuve while the self-destruct from Bumburapa was channeling. That landed in a double kill. This is just momentum pushing forward from there. They saw the grab to play with from Bozo. They saw defense options in panties, and there's a weak Graviton as well, but no support ultimates for Talon.
Now moving forward, LYNX do still have some very nice tools to rotate into. Talon do have a Graviton Surge here and can be coming up on a Transcendence soon-ish, but LYNX have a good window here. Good
assault.
Yeah, good aggressive move from Talon though. They're going to fight. They want to take an early one, force some ults out of LYNX, and that's exactly what they get. They've actually traded 1-for-1 here, so this is pretty recoverable as LYNX. They're all caught up in a grab now. Transcendence from Panties keeps them safe. Now they continue to fight. Persia's got a Transcendence. Talon do back up. Villeneuve will rejoin the team though sooner than Rodtung.
And this is the difference between having a support ultimate and not having one. So when I said Panny should just use it, he should use it in response to a week's Graviton Surge, which is what he was saving it for. Now Persia finally does have a Transcendence available. That's going to be important for blocking out the damage from Rodtung's Earth Shatter.
Both divas just exchanging some love taps. Firing some missiles at each other. Bumburapa though pulls out just a second too late. Earth Shatter there to try and recover the situation, but reacted too nicely by Persia with the Transcendence. Now it's Talon's turn to get aggressive, and they've got the ultimates to back it up. Earth Shatter to come out here. Bozo smartly holds on to the grab. Bumburapa actually got back in the mech there. He's not going to get out alive, so this actually feeds a bit more ultimate charge over to Talon, unfortunately, and staggers out the kill.
And because we are on Hollywood, it's another day of the studio for Talon Esports. They just counter out a play from the LYNX TH side. The Earth Shatter traded for the Transcendence. You'll take that one. It's a 1-for-1. And then one Earth Shatter from Villeneuve gets the entire sweep on the whole LYNX TH roster. They get the cleanup on top of the fight. So really, to win that fight, it was just one ultimate again.
Talon just breathing in and going, showtime, as again they commit the grab. Nice, quick, clean, easy follow up. LYNX, they are starting to rotate into a slightly more favorable situation, but now you've got to consider the time factor. They've only got a minute left.
It's just sick economy plays here. A week, one Graviton, one ultimate's all you need. Aquila, the rally is free, so that one doesn't really count. So once again, it's one ultimate to win a whole team fight. Talon Esports 2 in a row.
Grab is all you need. Anyway, Talon now, they do actually have some good defensive ultimates to counter out. Both the grab and the Earth Shatter are about to be available from Rodtung. So LYNX, despite the good ultimates, nearly having all 6, will still have their work cut out for them. They need to make sure that these connect well.
The silver lining is because they lose 2 fights in a row without using anything, they get 6 ults, but the unfortunate thing is they lose about 1.5 to 2 minutes because of that.
This has got to be one consistent consecutive fight. There's going to be the grab. The Transcendence end does not quite save Gora's mech, and the self-destruct does get counted out, but now There's no Earth Shatter available. Rodson committed that as well, and now it's Talon's turn. They will be doing it into Panties.
Oh, okay.
There it comes out, largely blocked up and stopped. Panties also does still commit Transcendence. Sound Barrier does not save Aquila. Counter grab from a weak, but they've got the Sound Barrier to deal with that one. And now LYNX, it's their turn to maybe get aggressive. Stun on Villeneuve before he could use the Earth Shatter. That's what he was angling for, and LYNX get a bit more movement. Rod Tongue coming into an Earth Shatter.
And this is where it gets dangerous for Talon Esports because they're waiting for Villeneuve to come back alive. They still have defensive option. Persia might just have to use a trance.
Reinhardt Chicken, that's the name of the game here. Commits what? There it is, the first shatter to come out. Aquila isolated. They do barely get it, but a nice counter shatter to come out from Villeneuve. Where's the follow-up? No, Rod Tongue Low has got the kill still. Dropping down Haru. They're still trading back and forth. LYNX barely on the upper hand. Bomber Rapper will self-destruct to reset the mech. Talon with the closer response, but with a lot less members, and it will indeed be a cap. LYNX, despite the low time, able to keep that fight rolling on through, securing the cap, and excellent play all throughout.
And this is where, unfortunately, the ult economy doesn't really help you if you can't execute the ults that you really want to. Villeneuve going down before the Earth Shatter can come through. The Graviton Surge was used by a week a little bit earlier before that final usage, and just couldn't quite find the kills in there, and it was well counted out by Panties and Zobi. Persia got a 2-for-1 in terms of an ult trade. He traded Transcendence for both a Graviton Surge and Earth Shatter, but after that, that was about the last time in this series, or rather in that offense from LYNX TH, that Talon Esports really got massive utility out of those ultimates, because from that point onwards, after LYNX TH started pushing through, and the two tank ultimates, a weak and Villeneuve, didn't quite hit their mark, LYNX managed to push through all the way towards the end. They got the kills. They started really forcing Talon Esports into this trickle situation. As we approach the overtime as well, the respawn timers get longer, so for LYNX TH, as long as they don't lose members, they finish the match.
They are still going to have to muster a solid defense, and that's the thing. Look, all credit to them on the offense, but you are still coming up against Talon here, who we are expecting good things out of on the offense. We know how good their ultimate economy can be. So, LYNX, how will they approach this defense? They are going to stick on the GOATs versus GOATs, so it's all just going to be a big game of macro versus macro.
And it's about getting to the time bank here as well. Talon Esports, you'd expect to have the capability to get to the time bank here. Being held somewhere on A or B, or even C, would be a little unfortunate for them. Kind of surprising, fantastic for LYNX TH.
Yeah, for sure.
But for Talon Esports here, if they get more than 1 minute, they can push LYNX into this sort of draw sort of scenario where technically if it's even a draw, they can still come out ahead in terms of score for maps right now.
And that's the thing, if LYNX do let the cap go over all the way on to C, needs to be in overtime if they want to keep their shot at winning alive. Otherwise, best hope they can get is a
It's got to be under 1 minute, really.
Early aggression. Bello gets dropped. Rod Tongue, wow. If you thought LYNX's fight was quick and fast and dangerous, wait till you see Talon push on to point A. They might just get a gong here. They will indeed, and the cap to boot.
This is now where potentially if Talon Esports decide to push up, they're actually not going to right now, but if they had pushed up with kind of all their members, maybe they collect all the respawning members of LYNX TH as well. Just gotta play it safe though. Take 3 members to camp, 3 members to scout forward, just see what kind of defense LYNX are gonna do, see if there's any changes to composition.
And just put a little bit of pressure onto the members of LYNX, trying to rotate around and retreat. LYNX should take an early fight here. They don't really have any ultimates to back it up, unfortunately.
And the ultimate's coming up for Talon though, it is going to be an Earth Shatter. If that one gets comboed up, it's going to be very deadly. First ultimates of the game actually come online for B instead of A, because that's how quick the A push was.
That being said, by the time a fight breaks out, actually very early Earth Shatter and good follow-up onto Bozo. That was a nice target find there. Rod Tongue really taking a lot of pressure with that Orb of Discord. He gets dropped now, and LYNX in full retreat. It'll be a very quick cleanup as well. Zobi's going to drop. I think Panties has slipped out with his life along with Bombarapa, but that was a very smooth roll for Talon.
And this is how you get ahead in terms of ult economy as well. Because Bozo was the first one that went down, he's still on 51%. A weak stayed alive, got a ton of damage in there, a ton of charge. He's on 100% now with his grab. Bozo still has a while to catch up here. LYNX, they do have a Transcendence to defend, but otherwise, they're kind of out. The Earth Shatter has to do a lot.
And Rod Tongue, exactly, the Earth Shatter is there. Panties can counter out a grab with his Transcendence, but on the whole, Talon are just in a better spot. Oh, nice.
Gets one.
Yeah, it stops Gagora from layering the self-destruct, so they'll be out of the grab by the time that comes out. And they do successfully block it, but Panties has also already used the Transcendence, which means nothing to keep these members alive now, as Talon again largely unstopped here, going to be coming onto point C with just under 6 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite a sprint. They are going through some hurdles, but they are managing to navigate across the hurdles quite easily, I would say, right now. Talon Esports Just looking for some early damage here, just maximizing the ult charge onto a weak as well. Back up to 40%. Bozo's still waiting for his first Graviton Surge of the game. And we're already sort of at the stage where 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, already on to C. You're expecting now Talon Esports to finish this map with some decent time back remaining.
Yeah, right now this is Talon's 80% speed run of Hollywood in Overwatch. Now LYNX, nice wrap around from Gagora to catch out some members.
Bozo's been overlapped.
To lose the mech. Sound barrier just not enough there, and now that it's run out, a weak commits a grab. They layer some things into it. The damage is all there as Villeneuve swings the hammer. Panny's unfortunately not able to get the Transcenders off in time, and the sound barrier for Talon saving these members who were in Rod Tongue's Earth Shatter. This is looking like Talon will just kind of roll it on to cap.
They're going to have over 4 minutes here. Week's technically on 239% overall in terms of ult charge. Bozo's still sitting on his first 100% here. Bello's going to come out of Doofus. That's when you know it's real time for business. But can Bello save it?
Wow. Not at all is the answer. And that was so much charge in the pocket of a week. Just drilled down that Diva. The defense matrix does not stop the Zarya beam. And unfortunately for them, Bumbarapa was the only one who would have been able to contest that point. So now 4 minutes and 43 seconds is all the time in the world when you consider
get 1/3.
Talon only need a third. And they got that fight win in this initial attack in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, it'll be ridiculously surprising if they don't just get this third within the first minute, I say, maybe minute and a half if I'm being a little bit generous here. LYNX TH, I maybe just pull Bello out on Doomfist now. I don't see any reason not to. You've only got 1/3 to defend. There's about 4 minutes and 43 in there. Time to put the man on his specialty. If the Doomfist doesn't save you here, I don't think anything else will.
Doomfist, he's our man. If he can't win it, Talon will.
The sad thing is, maybe not sad thing, but the interesting thing is, I think Bello is no longer the star Doomfist of the Pacific region because, I mean, we've seen Spanik now, who is, in my opinion, probably the most outstanding Doomfist we have.
But how consistent he's been. I mean, even at this point, with what little Doomfist we've seen out of Bello, I would dare say Shailin's Doomfist is better than Bello's.
And part of Shailin's barely played this season.
Part of it is we've barely seen Bello's Doomfist itself. When we did see it, it was not what it used to be, unfortunately, and I feel like LYNX isn't willing to build those Doomfist-centric team comps. That is why, once again, goats be goats with the Reinhardt on the defense and the offense.
If anything, this is just a bit of a round two from what we saw on the initial Talon 8 offense. And LYNX TH maybe learned a couple of lessons there, protect Rod Tongue, maybe find a little bit of a chink in the armor for Villeneuve.
Still just piling on, Talon keeping the pressure on, and that's the thing. You can only get stunned so many times as the Reinhardt, and they do want to maintain presence on the point. It's just so hard to do that with how much pressure comes out of the squad. Persia's going to be the only casualty here by the looks of things on the side of Talon. That is going to be a pretty clean fight when 4 minutes 43 they had available. They'll cap it out in 4 minutes and 2 seconds. Only using 41 of what they had in that time bank as Talon set themselves up cleanly on match point.
And technically worse because Persia died and he didn't die last time. That's like, I mean, that's the only small thing that you can really point out there. And it's like kind of minuscule and it doesn't even really matter in the grand scheme of things. And just twice in a row there, when you look at that A offense and the difference between A offense from Talon's side and A offense from LYNX TH's side, Talon twice in a row on time back and on regular time, just push in, get Rod Tongue down early, no hesitation, man mode, straight in there, get that Ryan down, and also, you know, their own Ryan survives. So just to keep pushing on through, keep collecting kills, go into the other ultimate, start charging up and snowballing through, snowball all the way from B to C, then just finish capping and never losing a single fight. Meanwhile, when you look at LYNX TH, they kind of just squandered a little bit. They actually had player advantage. When they pushed A, they started with player advantage. They still struggled to play the 6v5. They weren't confident enough to even really push in 6 versus 5, and it took a while for them to get that A.
And the other side of that is Talon did do a very good job of stalling it out further. Even when they were down as low as like 3 versus, I think it was about 5 or 6 at one point, they actually still drew a lot of time out from LYNX. And that becomes a factor when you consider that LYNX only capped in overtime when they did finally get all the way to C. A lot of that can be attributed to the extra 2 minutes lost on that A offense. Even though it was a single fight, it was one very long, very protracted fight on the side of LYNX.
It was, and now sort of, you know, as we move to the second half as well, you've got to start thinking, where do LYNX maybe start to come back here? Is it going to be Assault? Because that is possibly where you start unlocking Bello into the Doomfist, and I have to keep going back to that because that is
it feels like such an X factor.
That's about it. That's about all they can sort of rely on at this point. And I guess we'll have to find out that we are going to go to a bit of the break as we reach halftime here. Currently 2-0 in favor of Talon Esports. Are they going to be our first team to reach 4-0 this season? We will find out after this break.